Hello and welcome everybody to New Earth Consciousness. Tanya here, and I'm with Joyce Ayers. She is a heart-centered divorce coach, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation because we're going to talk about divorce in the light of awareness and consciousness and all of those good things. So, Joyce, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much. Just wonderful conversation to have around consciousness, waking up after
Yeah.
divorce, which many of us may have been asleep for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, and so when we spoke before, you shared with me that you were married for quite some time. Was it 30 years? Did I understand?
Yeah,
Yeah,
including the dating period and marriage,
yeah,
it was 30 years, so 3 decades.
right. And that's a long time. And in my mind, sometimes I'm always kind of surprised that it seems to me that I think most people assume that after you hit a certain mark of time in your marriage, it's like, oh, you're solid. You're gonna, you'll it's death do us part, until we part. And but I remember I was living in Sedona at the time, and I was about 28 years old. I was living as a single mom, and someone was sharing with me this story about an older woman. I believe she was a Waldorf teacher, married for I don't know how many years, many decades. And at age 75, she filed for divorce. And I thought, wow, that's really like, you don't hear about that. And I didn't know her, I didn't have an opportunity to ask questions, but it was always like, wow, I want to know that story. Like,
Hmm.
what happened there? So, um, yeah, so maybe share with us, like, you told me that it wasn't like so many people experience divorce in a negative way, right? It's like painful, there's a lot of nasty things that are thrown about, mean things said, hurtful things, and it's just a nightmare. And many men and women come out of it with PTSD and all this stuff. So, yeah, share with us what was your journey like?
Yeah, there's definitely a very wide spectrum of divorce. A lot of people talk about the narcissist, until you don't know they're a narcissist until you discover you're married to one. And then there's the other end where you just sort of roll over and just, okay, I just went out. And I know people on both ends. And unfortunately, those are the extremes that, the one didn't feel that she could leave unless something was really wrong. But she had been unhappy for several years. But she's just like, if we just have one argument, it'll give me a reason to leave.
Right.
But she needed to get to that point for herself to just say enough. And, she had been talking to me for 3 years. And eventually, it's almost like we create the situation so that we can have the outcome we want. So there was just something minor, and she was telling me about it, and it wasn't big, but it was an opportunity for her to get mad, like just all the years that she didn't say the things that she really wanted to say and how she felt. That was the opportunity where she just let it all out, and it was also her her excuse that she needed to leave. So, so yeah, it does get to that. And for me, I was just plugging along, and, there wasn't anything terribly wrong. I had a pretty good life, and our relationship on the whole was pretty good. There was just some foundational things a couple of foundational things that I needed, where I just needed to really feel emotionally safe. That like my feelings, like I had somebody that could just really put aside their whatever's going on for them, for him, and just listen and just, hey, how's that for you? What can I do for you? What I would get back was, you're unhappy? Well, I'm unhappy. It's like you had a stressful day. I had a stressful day. We know people like we have friends like that. We have
Sure,
family.
of course. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I just got a car. Well, I just got a better car. So you just there's just it just doesn't go anywhere. So you just learn. I learned that why bother? I'll just take care of myself on those days that I'm stressful or unhappy or overwhelmed, and I don't have somebody there that can really I could lean on. I could lean on him in so many ways, but that was one area that I never had growing up because my parents had parted ways when I was younger, and I just never had that emotional stability. And so when I got married, I thought, well, this person is really there for me emotionally, and until he wasn't available. So but you just I had learned, maybe it's my generation or it's instilled in women. You just make the most of the circumstances. And for me, it's like growing up, it's like whatever life gives you, you make the most of it, and you stay strong. You get through it. And so it wasn't a question of I'm unhappy, I'm going to divorce. It was like, okay, I can adjust myself. I will adjust myself. I will abandon what I need in this place. And then, it's just, we're talking about consciousness, and until I realized I was unhappy, like just at my soul level, like it just I wasn't doing the things
Right.
with my husband that I wanted to be doing like I thought as a couple. We would go out for the day and do our thing, and then we'd come back and we'd do our own thing, and then we would get together now and again. But it was just we would have conversations, but we weren't living life together. We weren't building life together. We were just doing life. We weren't conscious
Yeah.
of it, and I
Interesting.
felt lonely. I felt really alone. Like where is he? What's he doing now? And
Even though he was physically there, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like yeah. I
Yeah.
remember one day of just building a lot of consciousness over time that I never felt more alone than being in a house with my kids and my husband and the dog. I've never felt more alone. And just, pondering that for a moment and then, oh well, go on to the, it's just
Right,
like,
right. And then just like, well, what do I do? I guess I'll just
yeah, and
figure it
then just, okay, get on, make dinner, go do all the things I need to do. It was just that moment of consciousness. But then I put it aside rather than looking at that. Well, like, what is it that I do want? I never went down that road. I never had somebody that was even asking me, like, hey, how's your life? Oh, it's fine. Life's fine. Of course it is. But
out.
like, are you okay with fine?
Right.
And I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So divorce, yeah, it takes many forms, and different ways of leaving. A lot of times one person wants out and the other one doesn't. And it's rare. I find it a rare thing, and I've come across. Maybe I track these these clients that not all of them, but maybe about 50% where it's a mutual agreement. Like, and or maybe one wants out, but then they talk about it and they're like, yeah, it's better to part ways. Not that anything drastic has happened or catastrophically or traumatic. It's just, yeah, like our time together has completed, and then they move on. And those are really beautiful moments to share with people, because that's what mine was.
Hmm.
We struggled in different ways the last 5 years, because I did pull away. I really did pull away when I realized I was unhappy. I kind of like shut that door to my heart, and he felt it. And otherwise, because I'd always like life is good, right? And then it's almost like I just created this distance, energy,
Yeah.
the energy was there. And so when that distance happened, it's like he came to me, and by that point, I was just,
The train had left the station already.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And again, like there was nothing wrong, and I wasn't mean to him, and he wasn't mean to me, but he knew something had happened, and so he was digging and digging. It's like, what's going on? Like, and like trying to understand. And again, he wasn't he needed to understand. He didn't wasn't trying to understand me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so for about 5 years, it just got we just kind of got irritable with each other. And then over time, what was there, just what was left, for me, that just, I wasn't looking for a divorce though. I was just going to make the most of it, right? And
Yeah.
figure out somehow how can I make this work? And a lot of women, we do that. It's like, what can I do? What can I change? What book can I read? What course can I take
Oh, yeah.
that might change this? And I was doing my thing, and yeah, we got to a point after, some therapy, not very helpful therapy.
Mm.
Um, we are just like, hey, this isn't going where we both want it to, and we're sad, obviously, and I could play, we can go down the whole rabbit hole of actually what happened, but yeah, it was very devastating because we'd had 30 years together.
Yeah.
So this was a very tough thing to just say, yeah,
To completely let go and just sort of, yeah, I can imagine that.
surrender.
Hmm. It's in a way, it's like, okay, I've put all this time and energy into this house I've built, and now I'm just gonna set it on fire and walk away from it. Yeah. I mean, it's and it's so there's really is like such an ending to it. And like you said, even though it wasn't that it was necessarily bad or I mean, I guess I should ask you, like, once it was finally clear and, moving through the grief of it, did you feel some sense of relief or expansion or a greater sense of peace with yourself? Like, what changed after?
Yeah, when we kind of just it's almost like we just let a breath out. It was like, we've been trying. Both of us have been really trying, and it just wasn't going where we wanted to. And so when we had that peace, that okay, kind of wish you well, and let's go through this process. And he went his way, and I stayed in the home for a little bit. And it was like when he was gone, when his energy was gone, it's like this tightness that had like not quite holding my breath all the time, but just almost like waiting for the next argument, the next thing to
Mm,
come at me. Um, it was like, I,
yeah,
I felt brighter. I
yeah,
felt more freedom. Like I had plenty of freedom to do whatever I wanted, come and go where, like everything. Um, there was no restrictions, but there was such a freedom that I wasn't responsible for his emotional well-being anymore.
right.
And
Almost a
that
sense like
it was like,
coming home to yourself, I imagine, of just like, oh, I can
yeah, it's
finally
like, oh,
really be myself.
yeah, for, because I'd always had the girls, my girls I was raised, and it was always about someone else. And it was the first time, pretty much like in 30 years, that I was like, I don't have to look after anyone. Like I don't, my responsibility is just here. And I can let all that, everything else go. And I remember the freedom and the peace and how wonderful it felt. Not like he's gone, like, it's like, because when you're fighting all the time, it's like
Yeah.
finally he's gone. It was like he's over there now, so I can be here. I can be present. And that's the conscious part. It's like I became way more conscious of myself. And oh, and then but there's this big gap in front of me. Now what?
Right. Well,
Because
I wonder if it was like, oh my gosh, now I have to learn who I am, or I have to get to familiar with okay, who am I? Who is this person that, because I imagine it's kind of like if you've always been doing certain things in a certain way for so many years and holding your energy in a certain way and all the things that we do to I don't know fit in with relationship dynamics and whatever when those dynamics go and suddenly that energy is not there. um how did that feel like? Did it feel like just sort of like a blank page, like a blank canvas?
definitely was a blank page that my future wasn't spelt out for me anymore. Like the
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no more that of, it's like let's just scrap from here on, let's just scrap the rest of the book. And we're gonna just I'm gonna do a whole new book with blank pages. Um, yeah, because most of my decisions involved him or the family, or when we moved, it was always thinking of him or someone else. It wasn't just for me. Like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do this. Like there was those, just what are we going to eat? I was the one that planned all those, but like on a whole, like for life and how to do life and where to be and everything, it
Your
was
energy.
always there's
Yeah,
always someone else to consider.
right.
And I welcomed that because we worked pretty well together in many ways like that because we moved quite a few times. We had three kids,
Yeah,
people passed away and so we learned how to navigate that together and make decisions. Um, but now, and it's like there's just me to make decisions for myself, and there isn't someone to fall back on or to bounce it off of. It's like I really just needed to trust myself to walk again. It's
yeah,
it's it's like it's I think of it like an analogy. It's like you're walking arm in arm with someone all the time through your whole life. And if I stumble, I can always somebody's always there to catch me
right.
and be with me and walk the uphills and the downhills and everything and all the fun times. And now like there's no one there for me to hold on to. There's no one to enjoy this journey with anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a gap. It's like this big gap of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, now what do I do? And I was already a coach at the time.
Mm,
I'd been a coach for 6 years, and this divorce was just this whole new ball game for me.
yeah,
And I was coaching women, hey, what's next for you? And how, like, where are you giving your power away? I was coaching all these things, and I had a lot of power in our relationship. Um, Again, like there's just a couple of areas that just I really needed to feel safe with and have that support. So
yeah,
now, and with many women, unless women are really, a lot of us are leaders and achievers, and we get things done. Like we things happen, right? We know how to like get all the ducks in a row, and then but now that we're divorced, it's like we're at a loss. Like, yeah, I can continue on being a coach and I can continue on being a mom, but it's just there's just sort of this vacantness that's there that I needed some, like, what are the ground rules now?
yeah. So, what did those ground rules become for yourself? I mean, I feel like I see a lot of what I notice, or I tend to notice, because my mother, she's divorced. She'd been divorced. She divorced twice, and after her second divorce, which she was probably in her late 60s, I'm guessing. And I think after that divorce, like she was just done with relationship.
Hmm.
Just kind of just done. And when I speak to her now, she's like, I just really like my space, doing what I want when I want. I don't have to tell anybody what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, or she's like, and if I just want to sit at home and do crossword puzzles and watch some TV or go take a nap. I mean, she's in her mid 70s now, and her health's not great, so she's slowed down quite a bit. Um, but listening to her talk, it was just really interesting to me, her perspective, and I see like a lot of her other friends who are about the same age who just you know, they're kind of done with relationship. They're just like, no, I'm just on my own. One of them goes and travels and that's how she chooses to live her life. And I'm curious, like in the women that you coach, what kind of I'm curious, like what kind of realizations do you see women go through? Do some of them, I'm sure it's like the range again, like divorce is such a wide range of experience. I'm sure some women go through and they're just like, "Ugh, I haven't had that experience of being with my soulmate. I want to find my soulmate. I clearly wasn't married to my soulmate. Now I really want to know what that is. Or could be just, yeah, I just want to get to know me. I'm gonna, take some time and, or whatever, just date, or I never want to get married, but yeah, I want to have relationship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it that we want now? Because everything is possible. We can get into another relationship. We can stay single for a long time. We can, travel the globe with our girlfriends or with any kind of a group, right? We don't need someone in our life. And um, you know, when we come into a relationship, we bring our stuff with us. I brought my stuff. I didn't know what my stuff was I brought into the relationship. And I didn't have a father around that I could really lean on and that would stand up for me when I really needed when we were with the step family. It's like I needed my dad to be a dad for me and just to, to really back me with
Yeah.
my step family.
Yeah.
Um, but he wasn't. It's like I had to actually call my girlfriend and cried to her,
Yeah.
and that was the support I had. And so it's just, I learned a certain amount of independence, not to need people. So I came into the relationship not needing to lean on anyone. So what did I create? Not someone who I didn't need to lean on. So I trained them. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I trained him not to be available for me and that I didn't need him. So when I did need him, I was disappointed, just like with my dad. So I recreated it unknowingly. And
Yeah.
I know this now from the work I've done and the trainings I've done. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, like, gosh, like,
It's
how
so,
are we training our friends, training our children to
right. It
ignore
goes,
us?
right.
It's
It
like,
just goes through
you know,
generations. The
no respect, no
generation.
respect. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, is it easier to just never have another relationship so we don't have to deal with someone else and their needs and that's a perspective. It's like everyone is so needy. I don't want to have to take care of anyone ever again. And
Hmm.
but when we do the work on ourselves, we're not going to attract that kind of a person that's going to lean on us so much that we're going to have to carry their weight too.
Yeah.
Um, and so I did a lot of work on myself. I right away, I had the book Conscious Uncoupling, and I saw that book as something that could really help our relationship. Um, but we had gotten to the point on the other side of that where we used conscious uncoupling to help us divorce. And so we each had our own coach, and it was beautiful. It really, really helped us to each gain a perspective of ourselves, because I'm rediscovering myself in a whole new way that I never knew even before marriage or during marriage. And now I'm discovering a whole part of myself, how much stronger I really was, and how I could have stood up for myself, and how I let
Mm.
scenario play out, and all the things. I didn't have it completely all the answers, but there was quite a few aha moments that by the time the 6 weeks was up in that program, I I still loved my husband. I still care about him a lot. It's just we weren't going to make it together.
Oh,
But I didn't look to him as the person who made me unhappy,
right.
because that's what I had. It's like he was the cause of my unhappiness. And I was able to get to a point. Yes, he did what he did, but I made choices for myself in all of that. And so yeah, and did I want to get back into a relationship right away after 30 years? No.
Yeah.
Did I want to go out and have some fun? Yeah, I can. So I, create a pool of friends that I could go out and do the things that I still enjoyed doing
Mhm.
in from a place of really choosing instead of needing. And that's where like waking up, like I actually, it's like I woke up from a sleep, like I was sleepwalking and I was just on autopilot to being very aware of myself, and where I was still living out these patterns of not using my voice, not really expressing myself and what I was feeling and what I needed. And then slowly, just it was almost like I was testing. I was testing myself and testing people's reactions. It's like, well, if I say this, what are they going to like? It was almost like, I would shrink back as like, what are they going to say? And, so I really had to test that.
Mm.
And then it built up courage in me. So it's like, yeah, what are we, what kind of life are we thinking or feeling is next that we could have like that? There's so much, there's identity, there's codependence, there's patterns, there's emotions, and there's beliefs, and it's all inside. It's not, there's thoughts that we have, but where do those thoughts come from? What created those thoughts? And then what do those thoughts create back inside? So there's this chemical loop because what we think creates an emotion, and the emotion that we have without even knowing why we're having the emotion because we're triggered creates a thought. So it's this constant loop of that's going around. And unless we can break the cycle
Yeah,
or pause and actually like wake up or become conscious of it, then we can address it. Then it can be addressed and then shifted.
right.
Shifted. Yeah. And
It,
then
it,
that's it's like, what do we want? Like instead of having this void, this gap and this emptiness in front of me, which is wonderful because I can start from right here. But if I'm bringing the past with me,
yeah,
the future, I'm just going to get more of the same.
yeah,
So to really have like a blank slate, we got to clear out the stuff.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And it seems to me that what happens in relationship long term when you live with somebody for so long, uh, both people start to put that person in a box and like have them very well defined, that they're like this, and this, When I say this, they always say that, and that, we talked about, intimacy starts to disintegrate and you just start to really, it's like you're living your life, but you're the curiosity about who's in front of you can start to die, right?
Yeah.
And so many times, arguments happen because you could say one thing and like you could be asking a very simple question with nothing attached to it, right? Just very open or whatever, like nothing, no projection, no like, trying to stick them with something. And they have this reaction that's like, whoa, where'd that come from? And it's like, oh, you're still in the past seeing me in this certain way. And that's why you responded to me in that certain way when really I was just coming from this place and that it wasn't coming from the same place that it was from the past, let's just say. And so we get stuck in these past patterns that if we can't actually resolve and understand and own what's ours, right? Then over time that intimacy and closeness just starts to, wither away to where it's like you said, you're just two people doing life. I really liked how you said that. It's like you're just doing life. You're actually not being together or being with each other, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think about when and I see this with my girls, you know, we people grow up. But we continue to see them at a certain point in life, even though they're now adults and maybe they have their own family and they're married and and they've had a whole life experience since, and you don't see them for a while, right? Even like 10, 15 years, and you saw them as teenagers, and so we continue we stamp it in our mind. This is the person, this is how they are, this is who they are, this is what they do, and all the things, all the judgments we have. And then 15 years goes by and you see them again with their family, with their kids, and right away we peg them as that teenager who
Hmm.
has never evolved.
Hmm.
And so we're doing that unconsciously.
Yeah.
But then when we grow, like we go through divorce, and you don't see certain friends for a while, and they see you, and you know you've grown and you're more relaxed and you're not triggered as much, and but they still see us as that wife of someone who behaved a certain way,
Hmm.
and they're still acting the same way towards us, and but we know we're different.
Hmm.
It's like, why are they doing that? And we would have never questioned it when we were like married. It's like, why are they talking to me like that? I would remember certain people, and it's like, I'm different.
Yeah.
I know I'm different because I'm hearing things differently than when this person would talk to me before. So it's like we just put them in a peg, right? Like, you belong in this hole and you belong in this hole, and so it's like we need to retrain people
Yeah.
about who we are now if they haven't been on that journey with us.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think that you know, marriage is it's like its own living entity, right? Like when two people come together, there's this space in between that takes on a life of its own, and if that space starts to, I just can't help but think of like a dying house plant. Like at some point, you can't revive it. It's just dead,
Hasn't been watered, it's
Has
over in
been
a dark
watered. It's
corner.
like, the yeah, I remember a Reiki teacher once told me that relationships, whether it's a marriage or even friendships, like if one person is evolving and growing and expanding, and if that other, it's like two like cogs that fit together, and if one is like moving faster than the other, or it's changing in
Mm.
a way,
Yeah.
if the other person doesn't receive the transformation that's possible, right? Then it'll just break apart. I mean, it's just sort of like it's just how it works. Like there's no other way around it. And I think some people just keep trying to like bang it in there, like, no, we're gonna make this cog work. Let's just like keep hammering it in. And it's like maybe we need to be asking the deeper questions of what's actually here now,
Hmm.
rather than just falling into sort of a trance of like, okay, we're married and this is what marriage looks like, and we're gonna make it to the end or whatever, right? It's yeah, that awakening of really discovering who we are. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like we just plod along until one day we maybe read a book or even watch a movie. Something happens that wakes us up, and then we're like, oh, I want to start doing things differently. And I think of like radio frequency, like, we're both tuned into each other, but then if somebody
Mhm.
goes into a different frequency, now they can't talk to each other because they're not on the same wavelength. Um,
Yeah.
they're not in tune. Think of a orchestra, right? If somebody's off key, it's like, come on, get back on, like, and this like goes back to the get back into key with us. And it's like, no, I'm decided I'm going to play in this key now. And so come on up and play in this key with me. And people can do that. It's like, hey, come on up here. It's pretty cool. It's like, no, I'm going to stay back here and be really just where I am and where it's comfortable,
Yeah.
because one person's ready to change and the other person's not. And you talked about intimacy. I remember when I first started learning more about intimacy, because I always thought it was more the physical, and it's like, oh no, it's so much deeper than the physical is just a tiny part of it. The rest, the whole umbrella of intimacy is starts with us. It's like knowing ourselves well, the things, our strengths, our vulnerabilities, our feelings, all the things. It's like, really knowing ourselves intimately so that we're comfortable knowing that about ourselves. And even if we're growing and learning,
Yeah.
that we can, that can change, but then we can share that with someone else without requiring something of them. But here, I'm going to share this. And so, but we have these barriers, like, of if I'm going to be vulnerable to this person, they might not be safe. kind of like, well, I'm just having a bad day. Well, I can't even say I'm having a bad day because it's going to, not end well. Because I need that support at that time. So I made myself vulnerable and intimately share. So then there's that wall where we're not growing together anymore. We just kind of stay stagnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how do you do you work one-on-one with women? Do you do group containers ever, or how do you work with people?
I do both. Yeah, the one-on-one where somebody wants specific attention to what they're going through and their process, and it moves along a little faster because it is directly specifically focused on them and what's happening. And then in group, I love group as well because it's like community. It's women coming together and sharing in a very personal way
Yeah,
because it's a space that feels safe. Then we can, get to a level that people can get to a level that they feel comfortable just saying anything that's really from the heart, and then that freedom that comes from that. Um, and that can obviously happen in a one-on-one session because if somebody hasn't been expressing themselves or sharing how they feel or what they need, it could take a couple sessions to like, okay, is this person someone I can trust and be safe with? And same with groups, like, people might just dive right in. Finally, I got a space I can actually open up. And then others like, I'm just going to test the waters here.
right.
Uh,
Back.
so they really each one lends a uniqueness to the support that the person needs. Uh, some people start in a group and then go into one-on-one, and some the other way around because I don't want to be in a group. I want to tell everyone my story. I
Yeah,
don't want everyone knowing my story, right? It's like this is too much, but I'll tell you a little bit at a time till I feel
yeah.
safe. Yeah.
And I'm curious, so you work mostly with women? Yes?
Yeah, mostly with women. I think a couple things. I really enjoy working with women. And and women are more likely to come towards each other and seek help, whereas men try to, you know, they wait a while and kind of drag their feet. And it's like, well, I decided I'll just get some help, but it's almost like I really don't think I need it, but
It's
I think
not
I,
encouraged for them, and unfortunately, and
yeah.
hopefully that's starting to change, you know. But yeah, it's
And
true.
when I do work with men, they open up in a lot of different ways and they show their feelings. They allow themselves to just experience something that is on their heart that they haven't allowed themselves or had a space to for someone just hold them.
Yeah,
And so they over time they allow themselves to really feel in whatever wants to be expressed in that moment. They kind of take that deep breath and then the tears will come or they'll just allow themselves to I don't need to be this strong whatever it's just they just kind of almost like they're becoming that little kid again that didn't get loved that the love that they needed to just like us women we didn't get the love that we needed or something.
yeah,
So I think it's really beautiful when I work with men and they open up and have that space where they can let go of their masculine shield.
yeah,
And same with women. A lot of times with women, because we've had to protect ourselves.
yeah. It can be really scary to share deeper things.
And
Do you find that the people that come to you already know that they're getting divorced and they just, are want to be, I guess walking through it with greater awareness, or or is it mostly people who are like, I'm thinking about getting a divorce. I don't know if I should or I shouldn't, and what, yeah, what's,
there's like three different stages.
yeah,
There's like, this isn't working, and I'm pretty much at the end. I'm strongly leaning towards divorce because
yeah,
you know, all like whatever's going on for them. We really unpack that. And I said, well, before you divorce, just hang tight.
yeah,
Let's work together so that the divorce is not coming from a place of reacting to what they don't have in the circumstance,
right,
because then we're just reacting and it's like let's work on what's not available to you, what you need instead. And when you really feel certain about yourself and yeah, okay, then look at that person that you want to divorce. It's like, has anything shifted in the relationship as they have shifted? Because sometimes it does. Because the other person starts showing up because they're showing up differently. And then they start working on their relationship. And other times it's like, I'm absolutely clear. No more reacting. I'm absolutely clear. I'm done with this relationship. Now they divorce consciously.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's just a knee-jerk kind of reaction. I am done with this. I've been putting up with this man for this long. He doesn't do this and he doesn't do this and this. Like the list is just endless.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's just hang on there. So we're really consciously choosing.
Yeah.
There's more power in that
Yeah.
because the power still belongs out there. It's like let's bring it in here. And then on the other side, whether it's somebody choosing to divorce or the other person is choosing the divorce, it's starting to let go.
Mhm.
It's like already moving on process as all the legal stuff and house and assets is all that's over there. It's like let's work on here so that this is what I need for myself now. This is what I've been wanting, but I haven't had. This is how I feel, and this is how I'm going to create my new life. Not dragging around the past and getting more of that, but leaving it behind, like really just not signing the papers to leave it behind, but like untethering, actually like energetically and emotionally and mentally disconnecting from this person. And that is seldom done. And then women will, there's sort of this in between stage, coming into the divorce or a period of time after the divorce that they start working on themselves.
Mhm.
It's like, but at that time, it's like, oh, like if I had been thinking more clearly, as that's a common phrase, if I'd been thinking more clearly, I would have seen that this is what I should have asked for. This is what I really wanted. And I didn't want to put up a fight. I didn't want to have anything. I didn't want to deal with him anymore. So whatever, right? And so, but then the hindsight, it's like, well, let's catch it in the middle in this gap um, before you make that final decision. It's like, what kind of life are you creating for yourself, and how is that? How are you going to feel? Like, what are you going to take away from this relationship? Not
Yeah.
just baggage, but something that's going to empower you, that's going to give you your voice back. That's
Right.
like, so you won't be abandoning yourself anymore and putting your needs last and all the things that we do. Like, and we can be strong women, but there's this area of our life that we just sort of diminish
Yeah.
for some reason. And it's like, let's bring this up into the open
Yeah.
and look at it.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, like you said, it's like it really does matter how you're thinking about yourself and your life, right? And I feel like it's this idea of like, okay, if we're creating our reality, right? We create the relationships that we're in and so forth, we're attracting all the time whatever we are broadcasting. And sometimes we go into relationships and it's undefined, we're not really clear, and we attract the perfect person to unearth all the subconscious stuff that we're carrying. And then once going through divorce, if you don't take the opportunity, like you said, to really kind of just take inventory of like, okay, well, what is actually mine? And then instead of making a list of all the things that you don't want, like, oh, I don't want someone that, is overbearing or a complainer or this, like if you're just focusing on what you don't want, thinking that by thinking about what you don't want that you're going to get what you want, I don't think it works that way. It's like get really clear about, well, what do you want in a relationship? Do you want more playfulness? Do you want more intimacy? Are you looking forward to, right? Like, I don't know, someone that you can travel with, right? Maybe you lived with someone who never wanted to travel. I really want to travel, like,
Yeah.
and being open to that possibility rather than being like, oh, I hope I don't end up with a homebody, or I really don't. So yeah, there's something empowering about really claiming what it is that you want and knowing that that next level of expression of you is possible. I think it's so important, and I know you probably feel this way. It's like, you don't ever want to look back at your past and go like, oh, that was so messed up or that was wrong. It was like, well, that's just who I was at that time,
Mhm.
right? Like I didn't know what I
That's just
didn't
who I
know.
was being. It's not
And
who I
that's
am, it's who I was being. And
right.
you're saying, like, if you're saying, I know I don't want this, this, and this, it, if we look at the actual words we're using, it's always about them. I don't want that type of person.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us that sense of ownership of what am I creating now? Like, what is it that I want and need? And so there's a concept in NLP, which I'm trained, neuro linguistic programming, is we tend to we could go have a huge list of all the things we don't want, but if it's like, well, what do you want? And there's a long pause.
Right. No clue,
Never
right?
take the time to really consciously,
Yeah.
what is it I want? Like, I know I don't want that. I know, okay, well, what's the opposite? Well, sometimes the opposite is it's not it's like I just don't want that. But what do you want? And then create from that place.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, it's
And
just this.
it's such a process, isn't it? I mean, sometimes we can think we know what we want,
Hmm.
and then we get the thing and we experience it. It's like, oh yeah, actually, I suddenly realize that's actually not what I really want. Like we get to
It's
keep on
based on what you
flipping
don't
it,
want,
right?
though, because it's like I don't want that, but
Yeah.
it's not creating what we do want. And during divorce, this is like with our family, with our jobs, with our kids. This is across the board that this is all happening. We're just focusing specifically on divorce here.
Yeah.
But anytime that our nervous system is hijacked, I call it,
Yeah.
it's like we either go into the fight or flight, or we just kind of fold down and freeze. And so we're it's like we kind of shut off our body from our brain. And so our there isn't that communication going on. And so we're not sending the signals that we need to say the things we need to, or to know what it is we need, because it's again that just that reaction. We're just reacting from whatever, even if the person hasn't been in our life for a while. You've been separated for 2 years, even some people, separated for a long time and they're still not divorced. We're still living as if that person is right here, right now, because our nervous system is wired to it. We have the thought about the person, and already our body's, reacting. And we could be in another relationship, even married 10 years later, and that person does the thing that the other person used to do, and our bodies will immediately react to this person, and the other person says, what's going on? You're like, because we don't even know why we're doing it. It's so it's not voluntary. It's involuntary,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of that programming. So that's really like the work I do. It's like, let's go down inside and bring up, like, make it conscious, make yourself consciously aware of your patterns, and choose, like, let's create new choices by clearing out who we were before,
Mm.
and look at who we are really inside, because we've had all these layers over the years from when we were little.
Hmm.
It's like, I have to earn love. Hey, look, I got an A. Look at my picture. And then, all the things that we are conditioned. It's like I call it domesticated.
Yeah.
Animals get domesticated because they're just puppies and they're, playing, and then we domesticate them. Sit. No, like, put on we domesticate them. We domesticate our kids, and based on our conditioning.
Yeah.
And then that child, kiddo, grows up, has relationships, and then, this is who I need to be in this relationship, but it's not who we are. And then so it's a wonderful, like, divorce, all these big life events are a wonderful time for us to actually wake up and question, is this who I really am? Because I don't know who I am if I'm not married. I don't know who I am if I'm not a daughter, and, or
Oh,
this job.
yeah. So beautifully said. It's so true. I love that. It really, really, really resonates. Um, so people can find you at createyourlifeafterdivorce.com. somebody wants to work with you, check out your group programs, do you have any current specific offerings that you want to share?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know if I send you the link for them. It's called Create Your Future.
Nice.
Like, create your life after the divorce. It's like, well, this is a specific little portion of that. It's called Create Your Future, and it's like what we've been talking about. It's like what's important to you. Like like now that you're newly single or you're going to be newly, I love this instead of divorced because divorce just has, I don't know, all that
Newly
stuff
single, I
attached.
like that. Yeah.
When I heard newly single, it's like I
That
perked up.
sounds
It's like,
fresh.
oh, I like that. It's like a new identity
Yeah.
that isn't attached to my past and that I failed or whatever. So, newly single, it's like everything is possible. It's like let's look at it just with a little lens, what it is you want now for yourself.
Mm,
How is this going to make you feel? What is this going to do for you if you have these few things? Like, not a huge list, but because it could be a lot just to even come up with three, three things of what you want now. But,
yeah.
like looking at those three things as a jump start, just to kind of get the ball rolling, just to, take a little step. Um, and so that's something that I offer my clients. Just here, take yourself through this,
Yeah.
see what comes up because there'll be some stuff that comes up, and then if they want to work with me after that, then we can start dismantling these patterns and beliefs and
Yeah.
all the past, and
Amazing.
you could really enjoy your future, this
Beautiful.
life that is all yours to create in this gap, this beautiful gap.
This life is yours and your life matters. It really does.
Yes,
And it is
yeah.
your life. Yeah.
And you don't have to stay single your entire life to have what you want. There is possibly somebody out there that when you're in alignment with yourself, with
Mhm.
what you're creating and what you feel you can have, there's all of this underneath stuff that we look at. You can want something, but if you really don't believe you can have it and that you can create it, like, three things.
Mm.
If that's not there, you can say all the affirmations you want. You can do all your goal setting things that you want.
Right.
You'll find a way to sabotage them.
That's true.
Yeah. I know I've done it. So it's
Yeah. I think we all have I mean, I
in a
have
book
to
and I
meet
have to read. It's like
anybody.
I've lived.
Yeah.
And it's like that's why I could laugh about it. It's like, oh my gosh, I put the roadblocks up. It's like, no way. It's like,
I
yeah, I
know.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely did. Yeah.
So yes, so I can share that information, that link with you for Create Your
Yeah,
Future.
it'll be in the comments here on the this video description for sure.
And then just, yeah, reach out to me. A website's a website. It's having the conversation is where
Yeah.
the realness happens. So yeah, create your life after divorce.com. It's a little long, but
But it sticks. Create your life after divorce. I mean, it's
yeah,
definitely
let's do it. Let's do this.
beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Joyce, thank you so much for being here. Love the conversation and thank you for sharing with us your own experience and really that for me what I think my biggest takeaway is just that there can be a different way to move through, like you said, a huge life transition. And then you get to, it's like framing it as you get to now
Yeah.
create a whole new life the way you want it to be and defining that and owning that and it's great. Thank you so
No
much.
more have to, needs to, all that. It's like, I get to
Yeah.
practice that.
Yeah.
Practice whoever's listening, all
Yeah.
of you who are listening, reframe that. It's like, I get to.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
get to be divorced. No, I get to be newly single.
Yeah.
And I
Wonderful.
also have a master class. I'll share that with you too. It's called A Better Way to Divorce. We don't have to do the stereotypical whatever you want to make it a B.
Yeah.
There is a better way to divorce, and it starts with what we choose.
Yeah.
We're choosing.
Beautiful. I
Mhm.
love that. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
And
much.
yeah, and those of you that are watching or listening, please like, share, and subscribe. share this with someone that you perhaps know is going through maybe a difficult time and they don't know where to turn or how to navigate this kind of terrain. Yeah, so please share it. And thank you again. Thanks everyone for watching. And until next time, be well.
Thank you.
All right, bye.